Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Good evening, friends. Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe joining you just before 10 p.m. on Wednesday, March 8th. Happy 7th birthday to my son, who won't hear this podcast because I curse too much on it. The Dallas Mavericks just fell to the New Orleans Pelicans on the second night of a back-to-back, 113-106. They also lost Luka Doncic to a thigh injury, which seems like it could be significant. What a shitty night. Josh, what's up?
Much. I don't know if you heard me giggling during your intro, because you told me right in our little pre-show chat you're like, pull up the recap. I wrote it, and I want you to read the first point, and I'm giggling because of you using the sowing and reaping meme, which is very apt for this Maverick season. Very, very apt. Probably
we're game 67,
yeah.
Right? Is that right, or am I wrong?
What are they, 34 and 33? So yeah.
So what we're looking at right now, heading into just a challenging part of the schedule, mainly due to road games, because the Mavericks don't play well on the road. Right. The Mavericks are one game above 500. Their superstar is hurt, and they basically fucked around and found out. And the NBA has been screwing around with load management for a while now. And the simple fact is, the best teams do not load manage because they're the best teams. So there's some self-fulfilling prophecies going on, and at least as far as I believe, that when you rest players, you end up, it doesn't help, because you need to win those games. The Mavericks were like 0-8 at one point in games that Luka didn't play. And this is before the Kyrie Irving trade.
Right.
And they're just paying for some of the sins of these atrocious losses they've suffered. I mean, we could go through, there's probably 15 games out of these first 67. So roughly a quarter of the schedule, where if you were to really look at the losses, you would go, oh no. That was a bad loss. And like, sometimes you just get killed. That happens in the course of NBA season. Sometimes it's a coin flip. But the Mavericks have lost just enough of these really bad games. And they did this before the Kyrie trade, to where you just look at it now and you're like, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
Well,
so
in big picture, none of it makes any sense, because you basically never play Luka in back-to-backs for the first 3/4 of the season, and they're 0-8 because they don't have anyone else. They don't have another star on the team. Now they finally get the star.
Yep.
And they play him, and it's like, wait, like, I understand that you load managed him so that he can play down the stretch, but like, he's been nursing this thigh. Like, this thigh injury wasn't a secret. Like, he's been nursing it for the last week, and I think he's saying,
no, I thought it was a contusion. I didn't know it was a strain.
So, like, I don't understand. the logic, that's the big thing for me with this game is I don't know why Luka played. The Mavericks training staff is probably the aspect of the organization I've had the most trust in since I've been a Mavericks fan. And that's honestly not even trying to knock the other aspects of the organization. They're really good. Casey Smith has been the head Olympic trainer for how many years? Like, he's legitimately regarded like the best, and the training staff is regarded as the best. You've talked to Jeff Stotts and you've talked to people around the league. Like, the people that know generally regard this medical staff as one of the best in not just the NBA, but in sports. So it's a little baffling that they let him play. It's just one of those things that usually they don't do. And it's like, he's been nursing this for a couple of days, and it's one thing if he was like balling out. This has been like the worst stretch he's looked in almost all season. Yes, he's putting up his points, but I mean, just physically, he has been laboring. Like, defensively, he's been gone. Like, he's been costing the team points since he's been hurt. And it's like, why, of all back-to-backs, why is he playing this one? Especially when you saw how good the Mavericks played in those 2 games with Kyrie without Luka, when Luka was out with the heel injury. It's like, I don't understand the logic in him suiting up tonight. It just
I have
didn't
an
make
answer for this. Right. It's not a good answer. It's a really uncomfortable answer. So you have I don't know if people know this, but you don't like Las Vegas. You also have a particular, you're not quite as bad as Ben Zadell, but sports betting also irritates you. Like, the gambling is not your thing. It's a safe enough thing to say.
I'll play poker. That's about it.
I'll tell you what. I have, as a moron, lost money many a times gambling. And at the blackjack table, you will convince, it's some bettors will convince themselves, you know what, if I double up this time, I'll make up for the fuck up from before. I'll make up from the loss.
Just one more game.
That's what this was. This was just one more game. Just one more game. We'll see what we can do. We'll get ahead. We'll get that 3-1 tiebreaker over the Pelicans. It will make up for the loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, they're probably not thinking that specifically, but that's got to be the mindset, because honestly, they did need this game. I understand why they played him. I really do.
And then that goes back to what we're talking about, is they fucked around in the first half of the season. They could be comfortably in 4th place right now. And that makes it a significantly easier decision to rest Luka, right? Like, if they didn't lose all those games, they shouldn't have lost in the first 30 games of the season.
Did you hear, and people who listen to the live shows, I can tell, like, we just get a different audience for the live shows. But one of the live shows recently, we had a guy join. His name's Sonic. At least his handle is Sonic. And he gave a pretty lengthy explanation for what he thinks that Jason Kidd knows he has the job security for the future. So he uses the regular season as a full-on laboratory to figure stuff out. And I really like it. I like that theory. The problem with that idea, and I'm sort of leaning into it the more I think about it.
That makes sense. I mean, he's kind of
said
that.
Aren't good enough to fucking do that, though.
I mean, Kidd's kind of said that. Like, that's not even really.
But you have to be a top. Like, you can only do that if you're convinced that, like, they're 8th right now. Like, you can't fuck around with this. Like, top 3 seeds are the only seeds that win championships.
You're right.
I feel a little nuts. I don't know. So it's like so in elements of this where it's just I'm thinking of that like it was a TikTok from earlier in the year where it's like a graph showing fuck around and find out. And that's where the Mavericks are right now. And I understand how they got here. I understand the logic behind a lot of the decisions that they've made. Only it hasn't worked.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say, because it's bizarre. And you can boil, a lot of this experimentation, like, just look at this game and try to, like, why did Frank Ntilikina and Theo Pinson play 12 minutes in the first 3 quarters when and they just nothing, and they get their ass kicked in those minutes. And then you put in Jaden Hardy, you put in Davis Bertans, and those guys have, like, issues and flaws, like, especially defensively. But, like, I don't know if, like, Bertans, for all his work, like, he plays his ass off. Like, I mean, he can't guard, and he can't stay in front of anyone. He can't really rebound. Like, there's a lot that he can't do, but he doesn't loaf. Like, he goes hard. He's limited by his physical limitations. And Hardy also plays pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just don't understand. And you played Markieff Morris a couple minutes, and they lose those 3 minutes by like
now is not the time to experiment. Like, why are you experimenting?
Like, play the more talented guys. Like Bertans did stuff in the playoffs last year. Like he's not like an unknown. Like he has NBA. Like he's veteran experience. Like Bertans for like, again, he's not a great player. He's at the end of the rotation guy. But like, look at his career compared to like Frank or Theo. Like he is a significantly more accomplished NBA player. Like it was just bizarre to watch them throw these lineups that weren't going to work. And then they finally were like, okay, we can't, because the thing is, I think the big problem is that kid wants a team that can guard. And I think he has trouble accepting the fact that he has a team that can't guard. Because why else would you play Theo and Frank? Like he wants, he wants the team to guard. And the truth is it can't. It just can't until they make some better roster moves this summer. So like, shockingly, the offense lineup with Hardy, Kyrie, Wood, Bertans, THJ blew the Pelicans off the floor, almost won the game. But kid has to scratch and claw you have to scratch and claw to play that lineup, because that's not the kind of basketball kid wants to play. And he's a stubborn man.
Yeah, he wears shorts outside when it's 20 degrees, and it's like, it's not cold. It's not cold. Trust me. It's fine. Like, I mean, when Brent wrote it, and our whole site does not share that opinion. But when Brent wrote the piece that Jason Kidd is, Mavericks should consider moving on from him, he is who he is. He is who, and he's not going to change. There's no incentive for him to change. And he's not why they lost this game, but he is why they've lost some games, just like the front office is responsible for other games, just like Luka being Luka Doncic in frustrating ways. And, the team not being quite good enough is also responsible for other losses. Like, this happens. Everybody plays a part here. And I just find myself very kind of, there's a lot of regret in this season, because were they going to win, 52 games or whatever? I really thought they could, even without Brunson. I really thought they could have, because Luka is that good. And I feel like they've really thrown away a truly special season from Luka. Thrown away is not fair. There's 15 games left. But I feel like playing, one game above 500 at this point in the year is really, really crappy.
It's hard to do when you have a player as good as Luka. Like, think about the limited rosters Dirk has had and other superstars have had, and they're usually like an automatic top 4 seed, or they're automatic 50 wins. The Mavs weren't always a top 4 seed, but they were always in the mix, 50 wins. And they, it was Dirk on an island for some of those seasons. Like, it's really hard to do. And it just sucks, because it's like they kind of put, Luka had so much on his plate this season, and it's like, for what? Like, to what end? Like, they're barely going to scrap out of the play-in. Another season where, they're wearing him down by the end of the season and he's getting hurt. And it's like, they have Kyrie. So hopefully, if they re-sign him, maybe next season they can finally get to like a healthier spot with him, where they don't need him to play 40 minutes, 37, 38 minutes a night and handle the ball for 40% of the team's possessions. They finally made the trade that you can see that future, but right now it just kind of sucks. It's just, and this game, it's just kind of emblematic of the season. They just can't, even with all the conditions, Luka hurt, Luka out, second out back to back, like they still had Kyrie, still had Tim, still had Josh Green, still had Christian Wood. Pelicans didn't have Zion. Pelicans didn't have Brandon Ingram after, in the third quarter, he sprained his ankle, and he was having a really good game.
He's the kind of guy Dallas just can't guard.
Right. And so, both teams are banged up, so like you can make excuses for both sides, but.
This is advertiser content brought to you by Frito-Lay.
Hello, I'm Chip Murphy, here to get you ready for the big tournament. Tonight we'll break down who will be cutting. Cut! What are you two doing?
Sorry, Chip. Prez here got his feathers ruffled when I told him Ruffles has zero chance of winning the title. And I was letting Dip know that she is not taking into account Ruffles' iconic ridges.
Guys, it's March. We have to start talking about the tournament.
We are. It is the 2023 Frito-Lay Snack It.
We're talking about big-time matchups between Cheetos, Smart Food, Lay's, Sun Chips, and more.
Just head to the Frito-Lay Snack Bracket and vote for your favorite chip, pretzel, or dip for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks.
This sounds great. Keep up the good work.
Just go to fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 4/3/2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com.
It's just tough. It's tough. Pelicans shoot 50. They finally got a game against the Jazz where it seemed like they were okay, and then Pelicans shoot 50% from the floor, 48% from three. Just another. It feels like one step forward, two steps back with this team a lot of nights, and that's pretty frustrating to watch.
Well, and Luka's getting a MRI on his thigh.
Have you seen his post-game interview? He's
not in a good place. We're staring at some darkness because I think Kyrie Irving is a special enough player to help them win some of these games. They're running into a back 2-game stretch against the Grizzlies that are dealing with their own bullshit. And I really think the Mavericks could still be okay, but this is just concerning because there's no continuity. There's no connectivity. Maxi Kleber missed tonight because he for perfectly justifiable reasons, but the Mavericks just don't have enough horses.
Yeah.
Oh God, and poor Justin Holiday. Good God. -30 in 16 minutes. That's a rough go.
He missed all 5 of his shots, which were threes. And they really needed, with Bullock out. Yeah. They need, that's another thing, by the way, Bullock out. And he was not a game time decision.
He was out.
Yeah. So I don't, does that that means he's going to be questionable at best leading up into, this Memphis game. So it's a weird time. I saw those Kyrie games when Luka was out. That makes me think it's not over in terms of them avoiding the play. Again, yeah. they win their next game. They're probably in 5th, right? I don't know how anyone can logically, even with all the things that are going around with the team right now, I have no idea where they're going to end up in the standings. They could be fine. No
it would be pretty impressive if they ended up fine. It would be I sort of just expect them to play flat out 500 ball. Win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2, that sort of thing. I'm not
because that's what they've done all season. They're a 500 team, right?
That's right. And so it really depends on if they just, do they have a bad stretch at the worst time? And do they fall to 10th at the worst possible moment? Is that what happens? Or do they ride a 4-game hot stretch and because the rest of the West is just derping along? That's what's been, I think, the most challenging for me. And I think why I get frustrated is there were so many opportunities for Dallas to gain ground and they cannot take advantage of it. And I think this will be framed in the sense of, it's a really tight West. Look, it's a really tight West. There's not anything the Mavericks could do.
It's a tight West, not because they're playing. It's because all the teams they're all playing. Yeah. They're all inconsistent. It's not it's because this isn't like that one season where the Phoenix Suns missed the playoffs with 48 wins. This is not that. Yeah, no,
this is a lot of slap fights.
Yeah, this is. if the Mavericks were playing like they played last year, they would be far and away the 2 seed. They would have the 2 seed clinched by now. That's 52 wins.
The
Sacramento Kings are in 2nd place in the West with 38 wins. They're probably going to get to 50, I would think, but it's not guaranteed. There might only be one 50-win team in the Western Conference this year. Isn't that that's bananas?
And that, we're not screaming and yelling. This isn't any of that other stuff. It's just, it's a matter of opportunity cost, opportunity lost. And you just only get so many bites at the apple. and this season is going to be one where I think history will look back at this one, and I hope it's one where we go, man, that's just a blip in the radar.
Yep.
But
there's two paths.
Yeah.
And they're very clear. And one of them's awesome and one of them sucks.
Yeah. That's right. That's a great way to frame it.
I mean, this is they made the move for Kyrie. You can't fix the team in one trade deadline. It's a down year, but then they reload, bring back Kyrie, and they're off to the races. Or it's the other one. We don't, I won't even talk about it. Just
the funniest possible outcome is like all this terrible shit happens. I lose my mind on a podcast and get fired right before Starfield comes out for Xbox, and I just go play video games and like lose my mind off in the distance. But
they delayed it to September, so you got a lot of time now.
They delayed it. Okay, well, sure.
I think it was supposed to come out in June. They said today it's coming out in September.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Right before the Mavericks season starts, and so I could just go play Starfield.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
See, Kirk can look on the bright side of things. What are you talking about, people?
This has been fun. We're gonna have a two-day gap. The Mavs are off Thursday, Friday, and then they play again Saturday. And that one is where's that one?
At Memphis, 7:00.
And that's a prime time. I mean, it's not on national TV, but like these next two games are a reckoning, where we get to see what this team is made of, whether Luka comes out and guts it out. And honestly, like he's very important. He's very good, but I think there's an argument to be made that they should hold him even if he thinks he should play. He's banged up.
Yeah. I mean, because the way he plays, it's not going to get any easier for him if he's not 100%.
They do get one of those Memphis games at home. That's an ESPN one on Monday, but they're playing for their next 5 on the road. Granted, San Antonio, the Lakers, Memphis again. Goodness. And John Morant's not playing in any. I don't think John Morant's going to play in any of these games. Sort of think he might be done for the year after what we read today, which is extremely disappointing because as a Ja's legal troubles aside, the fan in me would love. I need to point out that the Ja has beaten Luka one time. So we're going to continue that stretch. Anyway, I hope he figures out his deal. Who among us hasn't been a moronic 20-something that makes poor decisions? You got anything before we get out of here?
No, other than, don't overlook Memphis even without Ja. They've proven themselves to be able to withstand,
Right. I look forward to getting hurt by Desmond Bane.
Yeah. Oh God. Can you imagine Desmond Bane ends the Mavericks season? What is that going to do to us?
Well, and this is a 9th level undercard, and I'm not knocking him, but Josh Green has scored 15 points in 4 games.
Yeah,
and
he's in a bad spot.
He's got to figure it out. They need him.
Yep.
Okay, Kirk and Josh hanging out. We'll be back on Saturday. At least one of us will. We're going to figure that out. I'm going to go do the live show, and then we might have a special podcast getting sent over to us. An interview with Sent Marshall that was pitched to me that I think I may post as a podcast because I just thought it was kind of interesting. That might be on your feed on Friday. We'll see. This has been Kirk and Josh Bowe. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we will talk with you soon.